While the impeachment vote was happening in the House, Donald Trump was holding his own rally. And of course, he was raging during this rally, especially when it came to Debbie Dingell. So Debbie Dingell actually voted in favor of impeaching Donald Trump. He wasn't happy about it. And so he decided to go after her husband, who has passed away. Take a look.
I gave him everything. That's okay. I don't want anything for it. I don't need anything for anything. She calls me up. It's the nicest thing that's ever happened. Thank you so much. John would be so thrilled. He's looking down, he'd be so thrilled. Thank you so much, sir. I said, that's okay, don't worry about it. Maybe he's looking up, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But let's assume he's looking down.
Okay, so I need to explain the first part of that, and then I want to look at the crowd reaction a little bit, and then we'll get to how pissed everybody is. So John Dingell passed away recently. He served nearly 60 years in Congress, longest serving member of the House ever. Now, he had already given up his seat, and his wife, Debbie Dingell, had won it in 2014. So they've held that seat for over 6 decades in the Dingell family. But he passed away in February. And since he was a legendary congressman, he would often win by over 70%. And like I said, longest serving one ever, right? They lowered the flag to half staff. Debbie Dingell says Trump called her to say that. Trump in that story is saying she called him and was pleading with him. Gee, I wonder who's right. Who has a history of lying? Oh, of course, Trump's lying. Anyway, that's not important. But he says, I did her a favor. John Dingell made a great point about this on MSNBC. He said, it's not that you're doing her a favor. You're the president of the United States. You're doing what you're supposed to be, serving the people. And that's a very normal thing to do no matter what. But he views himself as a king. So he's like, I give this lowly servant a gift. You know, I let him have a nice memorial service, and I don't spit on his grave, and I lower the flag to half staff. So she owes me, but she still votes for impeachment. And she says, oh, he's looking down from heaven. Well, maybe he's looking up, in other words, from hell. And you could tell from the crowd reaction, you know, his crowd is usually vicious, and anytime he does the vicious attacks, they like it. And half the crowd did laugh and stuff, but the other half appeared to, even for the crowd, to be like, oh.
They looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it gave me a little bit of faith or hope, whatever you want to call it, that there's still some good people left in the world, at least somewhat decent, you know, because that, look, when I saw that, of course I was disgusted by it, but at this point, nothing that comes out of Trump's mind surprises me. I mean, he has normalized cruelty and hatred to a level that I wouldn't have even predicted during the 2016 election when he was saying terrible things on the debate stage. But with that said, you know, like, at what point do his voters realize that he doesn't have any human decency, that he doesn't actually care about anyone, including them, that the only person he cares about is himself? He cares about his own profits, he cares about using the office of the presidency to enrich himself. This whole impeachment investigation isn't about Donald Trump coercing a foreign leader in order to do what's best for the United States. It was about coercing a foreign leader to do what was best for him and his re-election campaign. Everything always goes back to him. He doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't even see people as people. He dehumanizes people more than anyone we've ever seen in American politics.
Yeah, so there's another potential reason why he makes that joke about hell, because he doesn't believe in the Bible, he doesn't believe in Christianity, and I could understand, I'm agnostic. So if you said, and a lot of people, fundamentalist Christians and Muslims have told me I'm going to hell, I'm like, okay, that's like your opinion, man. It doesn't bother me at all, because I know it doesn't exist. But since he's not actually a Christian, it's certainly not a practicing one, he thinks, well, what's the big deal? I made a joke about hell. But for a lot of devout Christians, they're like, whoa, what did you just say? That's crazy. And so evangelicals so far in this country have said, I don't care if he sleeps with adult movie stars, I don't care what, if he lies nonstop, cheats on his wife, I don't care about I don't care how terrible he is, he's an imperfect vessel. But when you start kidding around about heaven and hell, it appears, at least from the crowd reaction and then other Republican reaction, that he might have crossed the line for them, which previously seemed uncrossable.
So I want to go to Debbie Dingell, who did respond or react to this, and here's what she had to say.
You know, I think it's time to put politics aside on these kind of shots. I try to be respectful of everybody. I've never taken a personal shot at this president. I think his family is off limits. I was very grateful. By the way, I didn't call him, he called me to tell me he was lowering the flags, and that meant a lot. But John Dingell earned his burial at Arlington Cemetery because he's a World War II veteran, longest serving member in the Congress. He loved our country. President also said he arranged for the rotunda. John Dingell wasn't in the rotunda, and my family's still hurting. I have a brother, he's John's brother. My brother-in-law is in hospice, went into hospice at Thanksgiving, and these kinds of things, we're family grieving. So I think we should take a lesson from this and all respect each other. I don't want to politicize my husband. I don't want to politicize his death. It is still something that I'm really grieving over. This Thanksgiving was really hard, and Christmas is harder, and I'm going to go back to doing my job.
Yeah, you know, Anna just said something while we were watching that that really struck home. So I'm not a religious person, obviously. We've talked about that many times, but so I don't care about the heaven hell thing. But if your loved one, your spouse just passed away, and someone says that about them, like, you know, basically something, you know, he's implying that he hopes he's in hell. Wow, man.
Yeah, just
Wow.
personalize it. Just think about it in your terms. Think about someone, your life partner, someone very close to you passing away, and then having the most powerful man in the world retaliate against you in a public forum by saying essentially that your loved one's in hell. Yeah, I mean, I think people need to take a moment. I know that empathy isn't a thing in America among a lot of people, but just for a second, put yourself in the shoes of the people that Donald Trump goes after the hardest, including, by the way, children who are still locked up in cages at the border, who he also dehumanizes on a regular basis.
If there is a hell, there is someone who might wind up seeing it and looking up at the rest of us.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
So the ghouls and goblins who surround Donald Trump, of course, defended everything that he had to say. Let's take a look.
It's just always an interesting situation here in DC. No matter what the president says, people are going to parse it apart, try and tear it apart and focus on the most negative aspects of it. But let's be clear, so many of these Democrats and the hypocrisy in this town is staggering. When they come over here and try and have conversations with the president, work with the president, come to successful conclusions on bills, on executive orders, and then they turn around and slap him in the face. You know, it's just a tough thing. He's been under assault ever since he took the oath of office, even before, for the last several years. And so, look, it's understandable that someone's frustrated by the fact you have 93% negative news coverage.
He was at a political rally. He has been under attack and under an impeachment attack for the last few months, and then just under attack politically for the last 2.5 years. I think that, as we all know, the president is a counterpuncher. It was a very, very supportive and wild crowd, and he was just riffing on some of the things that had been happening the past few days.
So that was Stephanie Grisham and Hogan Gidley, his communications team, and they're making him out to be the victim. Poor Donald Trump, he's the real victim here.
Yeah, he was just counterpunching against Debbie Dingell, or maybe against her deceased husband, because that's a classy thing to do. And did you notice what Grisham said as well? The crowd made him do it. The Republican crowds are so vicious. They make Donald Trump insult, people who've died and insult their family members who are still grieving.
The speed in which Donald Trump and the rest of those clowns throw their own supporters under the bus is incredible. And their unwillingness to acknowledge that these people don't care about you. They have been fighting against you. $2 trillion in tax cuts for the rich over the next 10 years. Who do you think that's gonna benefit? You think it's gonna benefit the people at those rallies? Come on.
This is not the only time they've blamed the rallies. Another time, remember when they chanted "send them back" about the squad? And later the Trump team said, "Oh no, it wasn't Trump. It's his followers that are the problem." Okay, I mean, that is the last thing Trump's gonna throw under the bus. Not just Giuliani, not like his top closest aides and advisors. The last people he throws under the bus is his own fans and his own supporters.
He gives Democrats so much material to use against him in political ads, and they never bite. They never bite. I mean, would they ever go after Trump on the tax cuts for the rich? Unless you're Bernie Sanders, it wouldn't make sense, right? Because Bernie Sanders would never vote in favor of those types of tax cuts, but how many Democrats did? Right? The Democratic leadership loves tax cuts. Democratic leadership just granted a massive tax cut to the private healthcare industry. That's what they did. They voted along with Republicans in the spending bill to do that. Look, I see this, of course, you wanna have a long discussion about how immoral and indecent Donald Trump is. But in reality, the heart of this story is the failure of the Democratic establishment, because it takes a failing political party to make way for a monster like Donald Trump, for an incompetent loser like Donald Trump.
Yeah, so by the way, this is not the first time he's attacked dead veterans. He of course famously attacked Kaiser Khan, whose son had passed away fighting for this country, but had been Muslim, so Donald Trump attacked him. Who cares that he sacrificed his life for this country? He's a dirty Muslim. Trump is the worst person I've ever seen, and he's the president of the United States. He of course attacked John McCain after he died. So he has a history of not only attacking people who have passed away, but specifically veterans who have passed away. And now he's lost a ton of support from the military. Gee, I wonder why. Yet he sits at a stunningly high approval rating among Republican voters.
Yeah,
that's the country we're in. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.